I'm Peter Haddock and I'm here at the Executive Hire Show for some big news about plant theft with the team here. Brian and Andy are joining me here today, folks. We have £90,000 that's been given from the CPA, Brian, to help the plant theft reduction in the UK. Why is that so important and why do you think that's going to make a difference?
Well, as we know, Peter, plant theft and fraud has been very, very big for many, many years. We have 1,900 members in the UK. We're the largest association, and it's very important that the membership funds goes to helping them recover some of the equipment that they lose in on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And Andy, we've now got a whole new approach with lots of different things. I'm going to spell it out. National Construction and Agriculture Theft Team here, Andy. And so part of that funding is from a larger part. CEA also help with that part. To do what?
Well, I think first of all, just to set out the scene that we're in at the moment, we've seen an over 200% increase in theft of construction equipment, agricultural equipment, and I'm talking your higher value machines. So normally, prior to the Ukraine war, we'd have got between 40 and 70 high value machines stolen a month. In March last year, we had 206 in 1 month. So that is the level, and that is why that mainstream policing, whilst my colleagues across the country are trying to do their best with it, it is just not enough to be able to do what we need to do to tackle this problem. That's why I'm really grateful to the CEA, the CESA Fund, the CPA in joining together to help us fund a specialist team. So that's myself and 4 other members of the team that cover the whole of the country to work with police forces to help us tackle those organised crime groups that are stealing plant and construction equipment across the board. Majority, we think, is the high value, is they're trying to get out of the country, but equally there is a greater demand for second-hand machinery at the moment, particularly in the likes of Eastern Europe, and that is why we need that specialist knowledge that we can bring to help identify it in the first place, to help target the organised crime groups responsible, and help support police forces to actually put some pressure on these people who are responsible for the theft.
But it's understanding how to spot things as well, isn't it? And using the CSAR system and training up general police officers to be able to look at a piece of equipment and go, right, we see the CSAR protection there, that allows us to identify it. Can we stop and quickly find out whether the person that's actually driving it is the owner of it? It's very important, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And look, I've been National Lead for Construction Agricultural Machinery Theft for coming up 7-8 years now. And in that time, and with a background in farming, a background, my father was in construction, so the types of machinery we're talking about is really specialist stuff. Most run-of-the-mill police officers will not know how to identify this kit if it hasn't got a registration number on it. So the likes of the CESA scheme, which I can talk about that because that's the industry scheme, that's the CEA, the AEA scheme, it's their scheme, it's your scheme. We have a 100% success rate with identifying machinery that's marked in that way. Now, part of it is about us going out and tackling criminality, but this is also part of my role as a senior police officer, is to say what is the industry doing to help deal with this as well. And that is why we've got the Equipment Theft Prevention Act, which now hopefully we'll get the secondary legislation through. It will mean that coming into the next part of next year, we will be able to have machinery that is coming with standard immobilisation from the factory. So we're not in this ridiculous position where we've got one key that starts all.
Absolutely.
Which is it's just nonsense. In this day and age, we should not be there. And for those manufacturers that they know who they are, because I've spoken to most of them, then, and look, this isn't again about being against it. This is about my job is to reduce thefts, and that is part of it. We just cannot have the situation where one single key still starts many machines across a whole range and brands. There are, however, some really good manufacturers out there who are absolutely leading the charge, and my encouragement would be is to the likes of CPA members, those are manufacturers where the machines are harder to steal. They're more likely to stay on your construction site. You're going to have happier customers because you haven't got the likes of me trying to find them and recover them. So yeah, it's about working with the industry as well. This is not just about trying to lock bad people up, because unfortunately we will not arrest our way out of this situation. It's got to be something we do together, and that is why I'm so grateful for what the CPA are doing by helping investing in something that is very specialist.
How can people get in touch with your team? What's the best thing to do and process?
Right, first of all, we are not a replacement for 999 or 101. So whenever there's something stolen, contact your local police force, report the theft, and let's get it onto the system. What we then do is we pick up on that information that is coming in from the CPA. So absolutely, let the CPA know. I'm more than happy that if there's been a theft and you're reporting it to the local police office, police force as well, then drop it into our inbox, which NCATT@northumbria.police.uk. More than happy to get that, because we are the ones that are building up the picture of what is going on, and then able to put that into, well, is there somewhere we can go and look for it? Is there any tracking? Is there anything we can do to either get that machine back or find the people responsible? Not having the theft in the first place is so important.
Look after your kit.
Absolutely.
Make it harder to steal. We've got some people in the country that are painting their equipment into different colours that, you know, are very recognisable and harder to distinguish as well, isn't it? So,
it does work. And look, we know that if you look at the likes of Clancy, people like that who mark the kit up, it's easy to spot. But there's also things that hirers can do. Make sure in the first place, we are seeing an increase in fraudulent hire. And the discussions I've been having with Brian, the CPA, HE, is all about, look, do your due diligence and don't chase those contracts that are just too good to be true, because we have seen more of a case of where people are coming up with a fraudulent name, often taking your name off an internet site, ringing it up and purporting to be you, hiring a couple of bits and returning and paying for them, and then hitting you for the bigger items.
Right.
So absolutely, there's something about share that information between us if you think somebody's suspicious. I am more than happy to be getting information coming into us to say, I think we have got a fraudulent hirer here. Let us know about that, because as it's becoming more difficult to steal equipment as we get improved immobilisation, the knock-on consequence of that is they've got to come up with other ways to try and do it. So that's where it's important we all work together to share that information and ultimately stop these people doing it.
What's the other things you're going to be sharing with your members, and what are the other things that you say to your members actually to do what Andy said, to share that information with you?
Yeah, well, we already have a process in place where we encourage our members to do everything that Andy has just outlined, about ringing the police, getting the crime number, etc., etc. But we also encourage them to report it to us. We have, as I said earlier, 1,900 members, so we have a really good process of getting members' information out there. We had a great example last week where one of them lost a low loader down here in the Midlands, and within 24 hours of sharing it, it was found by another member, which was fantastic. This was a very big piece of machinery, a low loader, with kit on the back. They pitched the whole kabobble. They weren't specific about taking the machine. They wanted to take the whole lot. So I think we've got everything in place. I think the main thing for us now is to support Andy and his team with, in this case, is funding, is some funding. I don't see this as the end of the funding trail. We obviously will be monitoring and looking at it, talking with Andy and Dave and his rest of the other colleagues, and then just keep on battling against what we all know is out there, and we must be there to support them in whichever way we can.
So the message here from the Executive Hire Show, folks, the CPA and Andy, is also make sure you're keeping your plant safe. Make sure if something happens, you get on to the police. Make sure then you share it with the community, because if we can actually find our own kit, as the CPA members have done there, then we can make a huge dent and we can get those people behind bars. They're getting more sophisticated, folks. They're coming after you. Battle back.